Chosen one, don't scroll. This moment was not accidental. Heaven has slowed time just enough for you to hear this. You may look around and feel as if nothing has shifted. Same faces, same routines, same unanswered prayers, but deep within your spirit, something is stirring. That quiet pull you can't explain is not confusion. It is confirmation. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. This season is intentionally silent because what God is rearranging cannot be announced too early. Noise would interrupt the work. There is a silent shift happening in your life. Not loud, not dramatic, but precise. Destiny is being repositioned like pieces on a divine chessboard. Doors are moving before you ever touch them. People are being removed without confrontation. Delays are protecting you from arriving too soon. The vision is for an appointed time. Though it linger, wait for it. Habakkuk 2:3. What feels like waiting is actually alignment. What feels like nothing is God doing everything. You may sense restlessness, a holy discomfort, a feeling that the old no longer fits. That is because God is quietly undoing what you outgrew. He is not breaking you. He is reforming you. Like clay on the wheel, pressure is shaping purpose. Ask yourself, why are you being stretched now? Why is your discernment sharper? Why do distractions no longer satisfy? These are not questions of fear. They are invitations to awareness. Stay alert. Signs are already appearing. In dreams, interruptions, repeated confirmations you keep dismissing. Heaven says, do not rush this process. Do not explain yourself. Do not retreat out of impatience. Stand still long enough to recognize what is shifting beneath your feet. Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. Isaiah 40:31. Waiting is not weakness. It is preparation for wait. God is rearranging your inner world before He rearranges your outer one. When the shift becomes visible, you will realize it began long ago. Listen carefully now. Guard your peace. Protect your focus. Obey the quiet instructions. The silence is sacred. The stillness is strategic. And the change coming will redefine who you are, not just what you do. You are not behind. You are being positioned. If this message resonates in your spirit, stay connected. Subscribe so you don't miss what heaven continues to release, and join the community walking this path of discernment and destiny. In the comments, write, I receive this shift, not for visibility, but as a declaration. Let your words align with what God is already doing. Chosen one, do not mistake this silence for distance. This quiet is not punishment, and it is not neglect. It is concealment. Heaven has drawn you close, not pushed you away. Just as life forms unseen in the womb, God often hides what is still becoming. I will give you the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places. Isaiah 45:3. What you are carrying is too sacred to be rushed into noise. Exposure too early would damage what is still being shaped. There are seasons when God removes visibility on purpose. He dims the spotlight, slows the applause, and pulls you away from constant affirmation, not to diminish you, but to protect you. Even Jesus spent years in obscurity before authority flowed from Him. Power matures in privacy. Identity deepens in stillness. If everyone could see you now, they might misinterpret the process and try to name what God has not yet finished forming. Notice how the silence is strengthening your roots. You are learning to hear God without external confirmation. You are discovering who you are when no one is watching. This is not isolation, it is incubation. Like Mary, who kept these things and pondered them in her heart. Luke 1:24. You are being taught how to carry destiny quietly. Some promises must be protected by silence until the appointed time. Ask yourself gently, why has your desire for attention faded? Why do you feel drawn inward instead of outward? Why does oversharing feel heavy now? These are not signs of retreat, they are signs of maturity. Heaven is training you to steward weight. What God is forming in you will require depth, discernment, and restraint. Loud beginnings rarely sustain lasting authority. Do not rush to explain your season. Do not force visibility to prove progress. Silence is doing a work words cannot. In this womb-like stillness, God is aligning your heart, purifying your motives, and strengthening your spiritual bones. He is teaching you how to stand without applause and trust without evidence. This is how leaders are formed before they are followed. Remain calm, stay yielded, let the silence finish its assignment. Revelation will come, but first comes formation. When God reveals you, it will not require striving. Doors will open naturally. Authority will speak for itself. Until then, rest in the quiet, knowing this truth. Heaven hides what it treasures most. Listen until the end, because what is being formed now will soon speak louder than anything you could ever say. Chosen one, what you call delay is not stagnation, it is negotiation. Heaven is not idle while you wait. While your eyes scan the surface of life, searching for movement, God is working beneath the visible realm, shifting outcomes you cannot yet perceive. From the first day that you set your heart to understand, your words were heard. Daniel 10:12. The moment you prayed, movement began. But not all movement is loud. Some of the most important changes happen behind the veil. There are forces being addressed that you were never meant to fight. Spiritual resistance, generational patterns, unseen blockades. God handles these where you cannot reach. Just as an architect prepares the foundation before raising the structure, heaven rearranges support systems before releasing elevation. If God brought you forward too soon, you would arrive to misalignment, not fulfillment. So He delays, not to deny you, but to protect the promise. You may feel like things are being taken away without explanation, connections drifting, opportunities dissolving, plans stalling without warning. This is not loss, it is precision. God is quietly moving people out of position and placing others where they belong. He is removing what cannot go with you and preserving what must meet you later. In all things, God works for the good of those who love Him. Romans 8:28. Even the confusing parts are cooperating. Ask yourself, why does forcing doors feel harder now? Why does rushing bring resistance instead of results? It is because timing is being synchronized. Heaven is aligning moments so that when you step forward, your arrival creates impact, not chaos. You are not late. Others are still being prepared to meet you. Certain doors cannot open until multiple timelines converge. Be at peace in the waiting. Trust that what is unseen is still real. Angels wrestle where you rest. God rearranges while you remain still. This season is teaching you discernment. How to trust without proof. How to believe without movement. How to remain faithful when progress is invisible. This is not passive waiting. It is active surrender. Do not interfere with what God is resolving. Do not revisit doors He has closed. Do not chase what He is repositioning. Stay aligned. Stay obedient. Stay open. The rearrangement will soon surface, and when it does, you will understand why everything had to move exactly as it did. Listen carefully now. What God is preparing is larger than your current perspective. The delay is strategic. The silence is intentional. And when the veil lifts, you will see that heaven was working the entire time, just out of sight, but never out of control. Stay with this message until the end, because the shift you're waiting for is already in motion. Chosen one, before heaven moves your surroundings, it awakens your sight. Long before doors open in the natural, clarity opens within. This is how alignment begins, not with announcements, but with awareness. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. If you have felt your perception sharpening, your tolerance lowering, and your inner compass becoming more precise, this is not imagination. It is discernment, rising to meet destiny. You are beginning to notice what once went unnoticed. Conversations feel different now. Certain environments drain you instead of energize you. Patterns you once excuse now stand exposed. This is not judgment, it is vision. God does not change your location first. He changes your lens. He trains your spirit to recognize alignment before He releases movement. When discernment awakens, confusion starts to lose its grip. Pay attention to the holy discomfort, that quiet unease you feel when something is off. Even if it looks right on the surface, is not negativity. It is divine sensitivity. Surely the Lord God does nothing unless He reveals His secret to His servants. Amos 3:7. You are sensing shifts because God is including you in what He is doing. He is letting you feel what no longer belongs before He shows you where you are going. Notice how your appetite has changed. You are no longer satisfied with surface-level connections, repetitive cycles, or empty distractions. What once entertained you now feels heavy. What once comforted you now restricts you. This is a sign alignment has already begun internally. God is gently withdrawing your desire from what cannot go with you. He does not rip things away abruptly. He loosens your grip first. Ask yourself, why do I feel clearer but still uncertain? Why do I feel called forward but not yet released? This is the in-between where discernment leads and circumstances follow. Trust this phase. God is teaching you to listen before He asks you to move. He is sharpening your hearing so you recognize His voice even in unfamiliar territory. Do not doubt what you are sensing. Do not silence your inner knowing to stay comfortable. Discernment is protection. It is God's early warning system and His quiet confirmation that alignment is underway. What you feel now is preparation, not paranoia. Awareness precedes authority. Remain attentive. Stay prayerful. Guard your spirit. The clarity you are receiving is the first evidence that heaven is already working. Soon the outer world will catch up with the inner shift. Until then, walk gently, listen closely, and stay with this message, because what God reveals next will require the discernment He is awakening in you now. Chosen one, every silent season carries a test, not of strength, but of restraint. When heaven goes quiet, the temptation to act prematurely grows loud. This is where many interrupt what God is building, not because they are rebellious, but because waiting feels uncomfortable. You have need of endurance so that after you have done the will of God, you may receive the promise. Hebrews 10:36. Silence is not empty space, it is sacred ground. How you move or don't move here matters. The Israelites grew restless when Moses delayed on the mountain. In the absence of visible leadership, they created something familiar to fill the silence. They made a golden calf. Exodus 32:1-4. This is the danger of quiet seasons, filling God's silence with substitutes, forcing outcomes manufacturing clarity, or reviving what once worked but no longer carries life. What feels like initiative can actually be interference. Be mindful of oversharing what God has only whispered. Not every vision is meant for public discussion while it is still forming. Premature exposure invites premature opinions, doubt, and spiritual interference. Some promises must remain hidden until they are strong enough to stand on their own. Silence protects what explanation would weaken. Guard yourself against returning to expired connections simply because the path ahead feels uncertain. Familiarity is not alignment. Comfort is not confirmation. God may allow distance so you don't lean on what can no longer support where you are going. Reopening closed doors out of boredom or fear delays forward movement. Stillness is not a signal to go backward. Another subtle test is confusing boredom with permission. Just because nothing seems to be happening does not mean you are free to act without instruction. Heaven measures obedience in stillness as much as in action. The quiet season asks, can you trust me without constant direction? Can you wait without creating distractions? Can you remain faithful when progress feels invisible? Slow down. Resist the urge to rush clarity. Let silence teach you discipline. Let waiting train your discernment. God is not watching how fast you move. He is watching how well you listen. The promise is secure, but the timing is sacred. Remain steady. Stay prayerful. Do not self-interrupt the process. The quiet will not last forever, but its lessons will shape your authority when movement returns. Listen until the end, because those who pass the quiet season test are entrusted with what others could not carry. Chosen one, understand this sacred truth. Authority is not given in moments of excitement. It is forged in seasons of restraint. Power that has not passed through waiting will always be unstable. The testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete. James 1:3-4. What feels like delay is actually the fire that hardens your spiritual backbone. Heaven is not withholding influence. It is refining the vessel that will carry it. Waiting teaches you how to obey without urgency. It strips away impulsive motives and replaces them with discernment. In stillness, your prayers change. You stop asking God to move quickly and begin asking Him to move rightly. This is where authority deepens. When your will aligns with His timing, you learn that obedience is not proven by speed, but by accuracy. Jesus Himself entered this process. After baptism, He was led into the wilderness, not into visibility, but into waiting and testing. Jesus, full of the Holy Spirit, was led by the Spirit into the wilderness. Luke 4:1. No crowds, no miracles, only hunger, silence, and resistance. Yet when He emerged, Scripture says, He returned in the power of the Spirit. Luke 4:14. The waiting did not weaken Him, it authorized Him. Notice this. Those who rush are often gifted, but those who endure are entrusted. Gifts can open doors. Authority keeps them open. Waiting teaches you how to carry weight without being crushed by it. It trains your voice so that when you speak, it carries heaven's backing. Resistance listens to those who have learned restraint. Darkness recognizes discipline. Ask yourself, are you learning patience or merely surviving delay? Are you allowing waiting to purify your motives, or are you counting the days until it ends? God is not just preparing your future, He is preparing you. Authority that comes too early becomes pride. Authority that comes after waiting becomes stewardship. Remain faithful in unseen obedience. Let patience complete its work. Do not despise this season of slow shaping. Heaven is engraving credibility into your spirit. When you finally move, you will not need to announce yourself. Your presence will speak. Your words will carry weight. Your obedience will shift atmospheres. Stay with this message. The waiting is not wasted. It is the altar where your authority is being formed. And when God releases you, you will move with calm confidence, not because you hurried, but because you endured. Chosen one, there comes a moment when heaven stops whispering and begins moving, not gradually, not cautiously, suddenly. This is the hour when the silent season completes its assignment and God releases the word you have been waiting for. Now, divine shifts rarely announce themselves in advance. They arrive fully formed. On that night, the king could not sleep. Esther 6:1. One sleepless night changed Mordecai's destiny. Years of obscurity were overturned in a moment because heaven decided the timing was complete. When God says now, momentum accelerates without effort. What resisted you begins to cooperate. What was delayed dissolves without explanation. Access opens where doors once remained sealed. This is not coincidence, it is convergence. I am the Lord. In its time, I will do this swiftly. Isaiah 60:22. Notice the paradox. Waiting prepares you slowly, but fulfillment moves quickly. Heaven takes its time forming you so it can move fast through you. This shift does not require striving. Recognition comes without campaigning. Favor finds you without chasing. You realize that God has already spoken your name in rooms you were never invited into. People suddenly see what they once overlooked. Opportunities surface that feel almost effortless, not because you didn't work, but because the work was finished in secret. The pressure lifts because the season of proving ends. Ask yourself, why does peace increase right before movement? Why does clarity settle just before acceleration? This is heaven's signal that preparation is complete. You are no longer being tested, you are being trusted. The sudden shift does not change who you are. It reveals who you became while no one was watching. Be ready, but remain humble. Sudden does not mean careless. Favor flows best through surrendered hearts. Do not rush ahead of God, even when doors open quickly. Move with discernment. Walk with gratitude. Let obedience remain your anchor. The same God who hid you now highlights you, and He watches how you carry what He reveals. Understand this deeply. What breaks open now is not random. It is the result of obedience in silence, patience in waiting, and faith without evidence. What took years to prepare will unfold in moments because heaven waited until you were strong enough to steward it without losing yourself. Stay attentive, stay grounded. Listen until the very end of this journey. The shift you sensed from the beginning is here. Heaven is saying now, and your life is about to move, not by force, but by divine alignment. Chosen one, take a moment and breathe this in. What you have heard is not just a message, it is a confirmation. Heaven has been speaking to you through silence, through waiting, through inner shifts you could not explain. Every season you walked through was intentional. Every delay had purpose. Nothing was wasted. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. Philippians 1:6. Do not rush away from this moment. Let it settle in your spirit. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not overlooked. You have been prepared in secret, so you can stand in strength. When the moment comes, the same God who concealed you is now positioning you. What opens next will require the maturity you gained in stillness and the authority you forged in waiting. As you move forward, stay discerning. Guard your peace. Remain obedient to the quiet instructions Even when momentum increases, favor will come, but humility must remain. Remember, it was never about speed. It was always about alignment. When God moves you, He moves you whole. If this message resonated with your spirit, stay connected. Subscribe so you don't miss what heaven continues to release through these messages. In the comments, write, "I am ready," or "I receive this shift," not as a routine response, but as a declaration of faith. Let your words align with what God is already unfolding in your life. Carry this assurance with you. The silent season is ending. Alignment has begun, and the sudden shift is real. Walk forward calmly. Walk forward obediently. Walk forward knowing heaven has gone before.